Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in today's episode of The Hypnotist, you'll be listening to a hypnosis session created for a client that had left a very high-pressured, high-stress, very intense, you could even call it a toxic environment that had knocked their confidence over that period of time. And they were looking for a new role, but didn't want to leave the frying pan into the fire. They wanted to learn from their previous experiences, but to actually feel confident and competent and worthy and feel empowered to find the right opportunity. So what you're going to hear in this hypnosis session are two key elements. One is a metaphor that uses how steel is forged into a sword. That actually the steel needs to be heated, it needs to be battered and hammered in order to become the actual valuable sword rather than just a chunk of steel. And clearly a metaphor for all of the difficult things this client actually went through. And then the second element, you can call it circle of excellence, but there was times for this particular client that they felt very confident, very much in flow, very resourceful. And obviously it then made sense to anchor that resource and future pace that into the very situation that they'd be going into so that they could feel their very best self. Life is going to throw challenges. Life isn't easy. If you perceive the hardships as something that breaks you, that's less empowering, even if there's certain elements that are true in the sense that certain things could be evaluated to kind of knock your confidence. It's still more empowering to look at that as a form of resilience. The strongest, tallest trees have weathered the fiercest storms. And to look at a period of your life as a sense that you are now battle-hardened, you are now forged, you are now more stronger and resilient than ever, is clearly more empowering than perceiving that you're broken or less strong in many ways. So if you are dealing with, let's say, a lack of confidence, a lack of belief, maybe there's a touch of imposter syndrome, and you feel that by working with me direct, I might be able to help, then click the link in the show notes to explore working with me by just booking a free 30-minute consultation call without any obligation, just to explore what it would look like to work with me. To get the best out of this session, of course, it was created for a client, so the suggestions aren't going to really fit or kind of match. But the essence of it is that you are stronger than you think, more competent than you think, and that your hardships have actually made you stronger. So find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in a resourceful feeling of calm and relaxation, and as you exhale, that's it, just relax those eyelids and feel a wave of relaxation start to ripple through your body, breathing in a wonderful feeling of resourcefulness and exhaling tension. That's it. I want you to scan your body for any feelings of any worries, any insecurities, any tension, any stress. And sometimes the clues are muscles that are tense that don't need to be tense. Maybe it's a shallow form of breathing. Even the speed at which you swallow, that's it. Or as the depth of your breathing increases, breathing in that resourceful feeling of relaxation, exhaling tension. Just feel that those long, slow breaths are enabling you to feel that you can start to let go. I want you to imagine that for a long time, your neurology needed to adapt. Imagine a soldier in battle. They would need to be on high alert, always ready. They would need to breathe away, think away, move away, to always be on high alert. But wouldn't it be a shame for the soldier to still feel like they're in a battle months or even years after the battle has ended? So breathe in and breathe out and feel that now is the time to let go. That's it. I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine going back in time, all the way back in time, hundreds of years, and imagine what it would be like to just observe a village blacksmith. One of the knights have asked them to make a special sword. And I want you to see the blacksmith with a chunk of steel. But to turn that steel into a sword requires heat. And it requires the steel to be forged, to be battered, for the steel to look like it's almost broken. But what comes from that pressure, that heat, the stress, the strains, the relentless hammering on the steel, ends up being a valuable, strong, powerful sword. And the thing with a sword, in the wrong hands, it can be reckless and dangerous. And in the right hands, the sword can be a source of security, protection, power. I want you to feel what it would be like to simultaneously be the sword and the honorable knight that wields it. Breathe in and breathe out. Feel a sense of strength and power. And how could you be an honorable knight going into battle if you just had a chunk of steel in your hand? The steel needed the heat, the pressure. It needed the constant blows of the blacksmith's hammer to turn that unusable steel into a valuable sword. And I wonder if your unconscious is willing to perceive your past not as something that's broken you, not as something that's eroded you, but as something that has forged you, strengthened you, empowered you. The swords that are created in a haste, without the necessary heat, are brittle and break in battle. But the swords that are forged in that long, extensive heat are unbreakable. They are at their strongest when they're needed most. So breathe in and breathe out and acknowledge that you are both a sword and the honorable knight wielding it. Breathe in and breathe out, and then go forwards to a different point in time. A point in time where you're observing yourself, perhaps in a deal-making mode. Maybe see the suit you were wearing, that Hermes tie, maybe the shoes, the watch. I want you to see you at a specific time in your past, on form, oozing a sense of confidence and self-assuredness, that in that place you had this innate, unwavering belief that you could get done what needed to be done. You're just an observer, almost like a fly on the wall watching what's happening. And if you can see yourself there, in that highly resourceful state, let me know by nodding your head. That's it. But let's add something to this. I want you to imagine underneath those shoes is almost like a spotlight, like you're on a stage, glowing light, a circle of glowing light. And let's make it cylindrical, three-dimensional in nature, almost like you're about to be beamed to a different point in time and location. See that version of you in deal-making mode, surrounded by a cylinder of glowing light. I want you to rewind it to the point where you feel you are at your most resourceful. And when you can observe yourself in that state, let me know by nodding your head. And then shift perspective and step into that version of you, feeling how you felt back then. Feeling that wonderful feeling of being self-assured, confident, almost feeling like you are just a vessel for the power of your unconscious mind, that something else is almost taking over. Some will call it your intuition. Some would call it a flow state. Some people would just say this is you at your absolute best. Breathe the way you were breathing back then. Feel that absolute sense of certainty. And the irony is, there were many variables outside of your control, but you had confidence, a conviction that you could bend the will of the world to the direction that you wanted it. Feel how it felt, and just imagine going through what happened at that time to the point perhaps where a deal was closed. Maybe you can feel the See what you saw at the time, where it represented you getting the very outcome that you intended. And I want you to feel where in your body you feel that resource state. And just point to that location. And let's call that competency. Because in order to do something well, competency is a prerequisite. No luck, just the knowledge that you knew what you needed to do and you had the competency to do it. So in that location, feel a glowing ball of energy getting bigger. If it starts to move, feel how it's moving. Give a color to it and make it brighter. Make it brighter till it starts to glow. And as it starts to get bigger and brighter, feel even more of this feeling of calm confidence, competency, and absolute worthiness. That you are the sword and you are the knight. And if you can feel that, let me know by nodding your head. I want you to move to a different time, this time the future. And I want you to see yourself preparing for an important meeting. But I want you to see that same version of you in that meeting, getting ready for that meeting. You at your absolute best, preparing for that meeting. See that glowing light. And I want you to see yourself preparing, perhaps getting a taxi or transport to a particular location. But I want you to observe how you're breathing, how you're moving, and you recognize the same version of you back when you were at your absolute best. See it. I want you to see that version of you meeting someone. And I want you to imagine that you're seeing a version of you that feels that you want something to happen here, you just don't need something to happen here. I want you to see a version of you that is valuable, worthy, calm and confident, at ease, willing to ask questions and answer questions openly, confidently, calmly. And I want you to see a meeting that goes very well. Maybe see yourself smiling, laughing and joking. Professional, polite, but very relaxed and calm. Not afraid to ask any questions that would avoid jumping out of the frying pan into the fire. This is all about good decision making. And the only Venn diagram that makes sense here is if it's a good decision for them and it's a good decision for you. If it's a good decision for them, but not a good decision for you, you will have no interest at all. And you want to make sure that you're creating value for them. So the only way it's a good decision for you is if also it's a good decision for them. And I want you to feel that if those circles overlap, there's that win-win outcome, that everyone wins and benefits. then you think it makes sense to explore whatever the next stage is. I want you to feel the meeting has gone well, whatever that means for you, and then rewind it all the way back to when you're getting ready. And when you see you calmly, confidently, in a state of flow, getting ready for that meeting, step into that version of you. Feel the glowing energy around you. Feel the ball of glowing energy there in your chest. Feeling competent, calm. Feeling like you are that resilient sword that has gone through all of the pressure, all of the intensity, that you are battle hardened. You are a sword, and this is not your first battle. You've gone through epic battles, and you've always come out stronger. I want you to feel that you're in your own body, getting ready, breathing slow, having a deep inner conviction you are competent and worthy. And you're curious to explore whether or not something makes sense. No desperation, just a cool, calm, wonderful feeling of let's see what happens. Feel that you arrive for the meeting, calm, relaxed, confident. There are no questions that will faze you because you are battle hardened. You are forged steel. You are pressure tested. You are calm, confident, relaxed and polite, feeling in deal-making mode, but only if there's a deal that you want. Feeling of such self-assuredness that if things don't make sense, you have no qualms in walking away. Breathe in and breathe out until the meeting is concluded. And if you have a deep feeling of worthiness, calmness, confidence, that compared to what you've been through, this is a walk in the park. Let me know by nodding your head. Breathe in and breathe out. And feel like you're returning to the present, but with a new belief. The belief that the battles of your past didn't break you, they made you. A belief that if you can survive a toxic environment, then you can thrive in a non-toxic environment. That if you can climb a mountain, you can easily walk up a hill. Breathe in and breathe out, feeling worthy, resourceful, and confident. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, feeling fully connected in the present moment, but feeling that ball of energy there in your chest is still there, letting you know you can be at your absolute best. Starting to count to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.